And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the grand finals, los grand finales of the PiGosaur Cup number 31. Your weekly dose of PiGosaur action. Again, we have our weekly open tournaments, and it has been a grueling event so far. We've had some crazy games, some cannon rushes, some standard play, some upsets as well, and we have reached our top two, our Zerg and our Protoss. And here we go. We're here to crown our champion. As spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Maganatha, we have our Danish Protoss player, the Blue Protoss, representing Storm Gaming. It is MaxPax. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing Team Falcons. It is Solar. And if you're in the chat, you know what time it is. It is Gamba time. Predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Best of luck in the chat. Coming into this, I would say and lean towards MaxPax as the favored player, of course, but Solar has taken maps and has taken series off of MaxPax in the past, and he can do it again. I want to believe that he is a worthy challenger for MaxPax, and we'll see if he can bring him down. Let's go. Let us go. Now, again, the map pool is still relatively new, so I haven't seen too much of Solar versus MaxPax on the new map, so I'm excited to see how Solar does fare. As welcome one and all to Maganatha. Maganatha is the largest map in the new tournament map pool, but as a reminder, yes, it is a large map, but it is not as turtly, it is not as defensive as Neon Violet Square, King's Cove, or Abyssal Reef. The bases are more open, they're more exposed, they're more isolated as well. So a Protoss player turtling and defending on a 4 and 5 base setup is going to be more difficult to do so here as it was in the previous map pool. So that does allow a player to be more aggressive, more assertive, and try to apply pressure and to break a defending player. It is a little bit easier to pull that off. Again, thankfully, that was the biggest controversial issue with the previous map pool, is that the older maps, the ones that I just mentioned, they were large and they were defensive. Currently, that is no longer the case when it comes to modern map making and modern kind of tendencies and kind of like rules or like guidelines, I should say, when it comes to making maps. Currently, if you have a large map, it should be open. It should be open, it should be more difficult to turtle. If you have a small map, that's where you can be more defensive, and that's where you can have more choke points and a greater defender's advantage. So you have that kind of give and take, that kind of yin and yang. Where on a smaller map, the rush distance by ground is shorter, so you can have more defensive features. On a larger map, rush distance is longer, so now it's more open to compensate. That's usually how things go, usually. Not always the case. For now though, Void Ray Opener. Okay, Void Ray Opener here from MaxPax is going to be looking to hunt down these Overlords. Now, this could be a Void Ray to hide tech, to go into Glaive Adepts, to go into a fast Fleet Beacon, a Mothership Rush, a Sky Toss, or this could be a Void Ray into an Oracle, into a standard game. That's the scary thing here. It could be either one. For now, Oracle's on the way. MaxPax is expanding. So far, it looks like a standard opener, but MaxPax is looking for those Overlords. He is searching. As the MaxPax does claim his third, Link Scout will confirm this. Back at home, Solar is likewise going to be saturating, building up his own economy. The Void Ray is now revealed, and the Void Ray will find one Overlord. As it barely does go down. Ooh, does overextend for a moment. Takes some extra hits. Behind this, we do have a second Overlord that should be hunted down. You can see that MaxPax is searching for another Overlord. Again, this Overlord here is already dead. This Overlord is already dead. So MaxPax is looking for any more damage. Doesn't find any. Takes some whole damage instead. And behind this, Twilight Council. Faster Twilight Council's on the way. This is a Twilight Council around the same timing here as the third base, Gateway Explosion. This looks like Glaive Adepts. It looks like Glaives. If we were casting Hero, I would say Blink. Blink is still a viable option, but I'm leaning more towards Glaive since it is MaxPax. So what's it going to be? Oh, Forge. Blink. Forge on the way. You typically don't get a Forge alongside Glaive, so Blink is the answer here. Now, Blink is going to be researched earlier before the Forge, and because of that, this is going to be an earlier Blink timing. This does keep MaxPax safe. If Solo went for a 2-way Sol-in, a 3-way Sol-in, a German Taxi, Blink would be done in time to defend. On top of that, because Blink is going to be earlier, MaxPax, he can be active earlier as well. MaxPax, he can be active. Behind this, a Solo is droning, saturating Evo chambers on the way. This tells us that Solo most likely, plus on melee, most likely going into Hydra tech, as there is no Roach Warren. As the Oracle and the Void Ray, they gain map control, they hunt down they take over the towers. There it is, a Hydrogen's on the way. That is not melee, that is +1 range. So this could be one of two things. Either Solar is going to cut workers at 3-base saturation and go for a 3-base Ling Hydra all-in, emphasis on the Hydras, or this is the beginning of taking up into Lurkers. And he'll get a 4th base, he'll half drone the 4th, get an Infestation Pit, get a Lurker Den, get a Hive, and take into Lurkers and get into a +1 timing. Sorry, +2 timing, I should say. Before then, we do have MaxPax poking in. Void Ray does hit the 3rd. Stalkers, they go for the 4th. And Solo trying to hold on here. Stasis Trap is, gonna get triggered. Yeah, brutal stasis. Solo still collapsing in. He does get 1 Stalker. He gets 1. Hydra production has begun. So far, Solo, he is holding on. He does maintain the creep. Whew, he does survive. That was close. Meanwhile, we spoke about taking. Yep, there it is. Lurkers. So Infestation Bit, this is so we can take up into Hive, into Lurkers. This does mean that Solar, he will drone up his 4th, and there it is, drones are on the way. So Solar is building up towards a longer game, bleeds out a Queen. But Solar, he's embracing a 4-base setup. And again, he can get into +2 real fast and real quick for those Lurkers. Now Stalkers, they keep applying pressure. Solar did just drone, and he also goes for a Ling counterattack, so the Lings are not home to defend. Oh, Solar, the Hydras are vulnerable. And that was already how many? That was already... Okay, so far, no Hydras have gone down, thankfully. Lings, they do threaten the natural. Gets 1 Hydra. Gets 1 so far. Gets 2. Takes down 2 Hydras. Lings, they turn back around. Solar, he does reinforce with those Lings. And with that, he does force MaxPax back. And remember, Solar, he has no intention of pushing. Behind this, Hive. Hive is on the way, Lurker Den is on the way. +2 should be commencing soon, and he's getting up to full 4-base saturation. Again, that was the plan from the beginning, as soon as we saw +1 range. The plan was to turtle up and to build up into Lurkers. We should be commencing +2 soon, and likewise that 5th base. There we go, 5th base is on the way. That's going to be for Larva. Need that 5th expansion. Solar is building up. Meanwhile, Storm is now done for MaxPax, and the goal for MaxPax, the purpose, the plan here is to break Solar before Lurker tech. As Lurkers just now morphing in, and Lurkers are exposed. Oh yeah, they're going to be denied. MaxPax, he hits just in time, and Solar, he's not ready for this. The Lurkers forced 1 more. Lings are going down. There's still plenty of Storms. Solar trying to hold on, now morphing in those Lurkers. But again, this is late. The Lurkers are late, as they had to be cancelled. More Storms zoning back the Hydras. There's going to be 1 Storm left. MaxPax, he's running out of Storms. At the same time, massive warp in. Bust into the natural. Drones are going down. This is critical damage, getting up to 20 drone kills. All it takes is a couple of seconds, and a mineral line will crumble. The Lurker has arrived, but only 1 Lurker. That's going to go down. Observers in position, and GG gets called. Solar is broken, and MaxPax takes game number 1. Whew, GG. MaxPax does take the game. Again, the win condition there, the goal for Solar was to survive, was to defend until he got into Lurkers. And he almost got there, but unfortunately Lurkers were morphing at the 4th base, and that happened to coincide with MaxPax moving in. Imagine if those Lurkers were able to finish, then Solar holds, and different game. The game continues. The game would have continued if he had finished up those Lurkers. Unfortunately, he couldn't because of the Storms. He was forced to cancel. That was game. Like, as soon as you saw that cancel, that was game then and there. Solar could not defend against the High Templar army, not without Lurkers, and he couldn't morph them in. Could not morph them in. GG, well played. With that, we're now getting into game number 2. And we'll see if Solar can bounce back or if MaxPax can extend his lead. As we're getting into Game 2, Game 2 is going to be on Pylon. Ooh, Pylon, a much smaller map. A much smaller map in the map pool, much more aggressive map as well. Now, I would imagine the turns are going to table. Game 1, on the larger map, Solar, his goal was to tech up into 4 bases, into a 5th base, into Lurker Tech, into Hive Tech. Here, on Pylon, we expect a more aggressive, lower tech style out of Solar instead. We're expecting Roach Ravager, we're expecting Ling Hydra, we're not expecting to see Solar rush into Lurkers, not here, not the same way. And here we go, spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Pylon, we have the Danish Protoss player, we have the blue Protoss representing Storm Gaming, leading the series 1-0, it is MaxPax. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have the red Zerg player himself, the red Zerg, representing Team Falcons from the land of South Korea. It is Solar. We go. As Solar does open 15 hatch, we'll get his base on time without being disturbed, without being blocked. And we'll see where Solar takes us from here. And again, there are different forms of 2 and 3 base aggression that we can see. We might see Ling Hydra, we might see Roach Ravager, we might see Ling Queen. See what Solar does go for. Technically, we could see an attempted mirrored build that we saw last game, but again, I doubt we'll see that 2 games in a row. If we were spawning into Tokamak, then sure. But here on Pylon, no shot. As we have our initial opener. We have our initial setup. See MaxPax being as annoying as possible, does disrupt the mining, does disrupt the economy. Behind the space of the Pylon placement looks like a Stargate opener out of MaxPax. So Stargate opener once again. Now last game MaxPax did open up Void Ray. We could see, I do like the, I've said this before, I do like the idea if you open up Void Ray in one game in a series, I do like the idea of continuing that trend and this time mixing up the follow-up for those mind games. So we'll see if MaxPax once again does open Void Ray. Solar does expand. Hello Mega Wack in the chat. Hello, hello. ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? Bienvenido. Bienvenido. Stargate has been thrown down, and we'll soon get into our first unit of choice. Based on the rally, it looks like an Oracle, but oh no, there it is. Void Ray 2 games in a row. I like it. always fun of it, just because again, this could the mind games are real. Like the inception into the Zerg opponents. Like, is it the same build? Is it going to be Glaives this time? Is it going to be Skytoss this time? Anything is possible. As Solar is going to be in the dark. Now, it does mean that you are able to have less map control and less harassment potential in the mineral lines. That is true. But at this level of play, your Oracle shouldn't be getting much damage anyway. If you're up against players like Solar, like Serral, Raynor, Shin, Oracle harassment should not get more than like 2 drone kills, like 2-3 drones at most. So because of that, you're foregoing some of that damage, which shouldn't be happening anyway, for a Void Ray. As the Oracle does, the Overlord does confirm the Oracle's on the way. Once again, very fast. Twilight Council. Now, last game, this led into a delayed Forge into Blink. Once again, though, I have to emphasize that this does look like Glaive Adepts. Until we see a Forge, it's gonna be Glaives. And Glaives is very much so viable at this level of play. I mean, hey, it wasn't too long ago that we saw Cyril die to Glaives multiple times against Hero. I mean, Hero is a different kind of player and he's a little more aggressive and he's known for his controllers and micro. But I want to say that MaxPax can replicate that success. Show us the Glaives. There it is. Glaive Adepts are on the way. Ooh, +1 melee. Solar is going for a Ling Heavy style. Thankfully, he does throw down the Roach one, does not skip it. Remember, last game, Solar did skip Roaches. This time, he will not. 3 drones equals the Oracle. Yeah, for sure, for sure. 3 drones is what you're looking for. But here, MaxPax, he just avoids. With a said Void Ray. And with this, he's going to be building up and banking up Adepts back at home and ready to pull the trigger. It's getting ready. 4th base on the way. MaxPax setting up defensively here. Ooh, does catch at the Lings, but we do scout. Solar knows. Solar, he's now aware of what's going on. Back at home, we have the Roach Warren done. Roach production has begun. Void Ray in position to delay the 4th. And as they make their way across the map, what do we have to defend? We have 25 Lings. And with the help of the Roaches, that should be enough here. As MaxPax, he does commit. 4th base gets denied. That was a cancel. Adepts take it into the mineral lines. Lings are going down, but the Roaches should defend. I say that. MaxPax, he's not done. Takes down the Queen. The Queen goes down. Adepts a shade into the main. They catch out more drones. 8, 9 drones going to be going down. This is getting a bit out of hand. Getting up to almost 10. Shading once again. A bit of a misclick here on the spawning pool. Wasted DPS. It still shades in. Gets 1 more drone. And unlike the previous game, unlike the previous time we saw this in Mute series, there's no Overlord speed. There's no Overlord speed. There is Roach speed on the way, so Solar, he can get ready for a Roach counterattack. But MaxPax, he is done well when it comes to his damage. Back at home, he's working towards Blink Stalkers. Blink is almost done, +1. Templar Archives on the way for the High Templar, for the Archons. Solar, let's go. He's going to try to break MaxPax here and now. Now, the rush distance by ground on Pylon is, again, as you mentioned, a lot more direct, so the Queens are just walking in. Who needs Dropper Lords when you can just walk across the map? And now it's on MaxPax to survive the counterattack. As MaxPax has a booming economy, Solar's all in. He's all in. So far, Blink is not yet done. Yeah, without Blink, Stalkers are going down. Brutal pickoffs. Files on the shield battery. There's going to be a tough hold here for MaxPax. 10 more seconds before Blink finishes, and before Blink is done, Solar, I think he's done it. He has done it, yeah. He has broken the 3rd base, takes out the Void Ray, takes out the Stalkers, and he will punish, he will cripple this expansion. Again, thankfully, MaxPax did this on Pylon. GG gets called. Solar ties up the series 1-1. GG. We have a back and forth. Again, as you saw here on Pylon, the rush distance by ground is so short, so that counterattack didn't take long at all to get across the map. We saw that MaxPax, he was 10 seconds away from Blink. If Blink was done, I think MaxPax probably holds there. He probably does hold, but alas, those 10 seconds, they're everything here in StarCraft, and Solar did punish, did break him. GG. GG, well played, Solar. He was able to break him in the end, and with that, Solar ties things up. Yeah, we have a series. Let's go. We do have a series here. Again, the drone damage was brutal, but Solar, he was set up for it. And when I say set up, he did have Roach speed on the way, so he was set up for the counterattack thereafter. Was able to break through. And now we are getting into one of the larger maps, one of the more defensive maps. Up next, Tokamak. Let's go. Now, Tokamak, when I say larger, more defensive, unlike the 2 maps that we just featured, unlike Maganatha, unlike Pylon, there is no attack path going into the natural, not directly. On those other maps we just featured, you have an attack path into the 3rd, into the 4th, and into the natural. Here, only 2 attack paths, not 3. So here, you do have a more kind of natural defense. It is easier to turtle up on 4 bases on this map more than almost any other map in the current map pool. And here we go, spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Tokamak, we have the Danish Protoss player, the blue Protoss, representing Storm Gaming. It is MaxPax. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the red Zerg player representing Team Falcons, tying up the series 1-1 and punishing the Glaive Adepts of his opponents. It is Solar. We go and welcome one all to Tokamak. The feature that I'm referring to are these rocks. On the other maps that I mentioned, there are no rocks. There isn't even a ramp as well. Like it's just open. It's just open here on Pylon and on Maganatha, for example. It is just open, so you have more avenues of attack. Here on Tokamak, it's closed off. It's a ramp and it's closed off as well, so you have less attack paths to worry about. It is easier to fortify yourself on your 3 and 4 base setup here. Likewise, there are also other ramps, other points of elevation where you can also pull off defenses when it comes to this low ground ramp and this high ground ramp as well. So force fields, defensive concaves as well. They have a better defensive setup. Likewise here on the right hand side as well. So we don't expect to see anything as aggressive. I wouldn't be surprised if MaxPax plays standard and plays more defensively and just builds up on 4 bases. We'll see how Solo will change his approach as well. We shall see. Now, because of how proxies and the warping mechanic works, technically MaxPax can still be aggressive and still go for like an 8k 3-base all-in or something along those lines. He can still go into early blink and still gain map control early on. We don't expect Glaives 2 games in a row. No shot. We don't quite expect that. Zero Lord pokes in, Stargate is on the way. Once again, Stargate opener. Now, both in game 1 and in game 2, we did have MaxPax open Void Ray 2 games in a row. We could open Void Ray for a 3rd time, or we can go into Oracle play. If we're expecting a longer game, I do see a lot of value in getting to Oracles early on, because that means you have more Oracles faster, and they can provide so much utility to your army. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is the first time that we see MaxPax open Oracle this series. As the Stargate is almost done. And show us what you got. Huh. Yep, Oracle first. Again, this makes sense. Like, if you're expecting a longer game, if you're expecting a longer macro game, then early Oracles, they do so much here. It isn't just about getting drone damage, it's more about the stasis traps, more about the pulsar beams. They help defend your 3rd base, they help defend your main army, they help deal with any kind of committed pushes with their stasis traps. And this also shows us that he is really concerned with denying the Overlord and denying the scouting, as is probably not going to be anything to hide. So we're gearing up towards something more standard. You know, let Epsay do threaten a shade into the natural. And, oh, they don't quite commit. The Spore's not ready. Yeah, Spore's not ready. He gets 1, he gets 2 drone kills already. Not bad. 2 workers go down, the Oracle threatening the main. And doesn't quite commit. Recalls back home. Likewise, at Epsay shade into the 3rd base. Trading well against the Lings. And already this is getting a bit out of hand. Solo producing more Lings to try to counterattack. Meanwhile, both Oracles, they move out once again. And mining is being denied. Oracles, where do we head? Here, there's no way. They're going for the drones. Yeah, they commit into the worker line. They get 1. Just the 1. 3 drones in total. 3 drones and 5 Lings. Solo goes for a counterattack, but back at home, MaxPax actually doesn't really have anything to defend. But has plenty of HP. Yeah, he has plenty of time. Behind this, Twilight Council Forge on the way for +1 and Blink. Again, standard follow-up. Oracle is home in time. Meanwhile, getting another 2 drone kills, still no Spore. MaxPax is punishing. Getting 2 more workers. Behind the Solar does go for a faster lair. Solar, he does skip his Roach Horn. I mentioned before that we're kind of gearing up towards something longer here, towards a longer game, so we're just skipping Roaches, and I imagine going straight into Ling Hydra. Yep, there we go. Hydra Den is on the way. And we'll see if Solar goes for a +1 range or +1 melee. We're waiting for the upgrade of choice. They are indicative of certain playstyles. At this point, I would imagine range. That would make the most sense. If the goal is to head into lurker production. Stalkers, they poke in. They pull away. As MaxPax is able to keep up. Zoning back the army. Does zone away, does trade well. Hydras are amassing. Still no upgrades on the Eva Chamber, which is a little bit concerning. Still no upgrades. Likewise, more Sage Traps going for the Queens. Doesn't quite pick them up. But despite that, nice trades here from MaxPax. Stasis does connect. Catching out those Lings. MaxPax still pushing forward behind this, taking up, going for Storm, going for Charge. Just keeping up when it comes to his tech. As he's holding his own. Yeah, behind this he holds his own. Solar, he is massing. He is not droning, by the way. He's going for the all-in. Yeah, 3-base all-in. Purely Ling Hydra. Now the lack of upgrades makes sense. Now it all makes sense here. No upgrades because Solar, he doesn't intend for the game to go on any longer. He is committing. He is pushing. Storm is still on the way. And MaxPax, he has to buy time. If he can buy enough time for Storm to finish, he will hold. He just needs a little bit more time. A couple more seconds. Storm is almost done. Solar is completely all-in with Ling Hydra. The slow Hydras, they're waddling in. Takes down some of the Zealots. Forcing back those Stalkers. Does force them back. Storm is done. Oh, brutal Storm on the Hydras. And remember, Hydra speed isn't done. He can't get out. He cannot escape the Storms. Oh, one of them does graze. But so many Hydras going down. Ay, ay, ay. Charge complete. So many Hydras falling. These are expensive losses here for Solar. He can't afford this. Does take down both of the Archons, but Zealots do a great job tanking. And Solar, he's being shut down. Losing how many? Losing 22 Hydras. And MaxPax holds. He does hold on. He does warp in another High Templar, getting ready for another Storm. And remember, Solar, he has no drones. He has no drones. He has no saturation. He has no upgrades. And he's not done. Solar, I mean, you can't transition out of this. You cannot transition. So Solar, he's just doubling down. He's committing into the all-in. It's all he can do. But the longer this goes on, the worse it is for Solar. That's a lot of High Templar. That's going to be a lot of Storms. And saying that though, yeah, there we go. First Storm does connect. Lings, they try to get into the mineral line. High Templar, they're holding their own. Oh! High Templar, they do pull away. One gets targeted down. Down to 4. Ooh, down to 3. One Storm connects. There's one Storm left. He's trying to hold on to it. There we go. Storm on the Hydras. Queens are waddling in as well. It's so close, it's so clutch, but these Zealots, they trade so nicely here against these Hydras. Go for the feedbacks. Feedbacks the Queens. Takes down the Hydras. And MaxPax holds. He does hold on. He takes down the Hydras, takes down the Queens as well. There's nothing left. One Hydra remaining, down to 0. And MaxPax, he doesn't lose any workers. His 4th base is finishing. No shot. Finishing up his 4th base. +2 is almost done as well for MaxPax. MaxPax's army is just getting better and better. And Solar, his army is getting worse. Or it's just staying stagnant, I should say. And here we go. Does move in. Does cut back. GG gets called, and MaxPax, he will claim, or he will take a further lead in the series, 2-1. GG. Whew. GG. Who beat Estrella? Mutes. But GG, well played. Again, Solar, he committed to the all-in. Again, as time went on, he wasn't quite able to commit. He wasn't quite able to keep it going. MaxPax, who was already rushing the Storm, and Storm did finish up just in time. And again, with Storms, like the Ling Hydra just completely melted there. It was still close, though. It was still very close. Solar, he was almost able to strike before Storm, but he wasn't quite able to. And again, as time went on, we had more Charge Lots, more Zealots, more High Templar. GG. GG will play this whole defense there by MaxPax. And MaxPax, he's one game away from claiming the series. One game away. And here we go. We're getting into our next game. And I'm hoping that we can force the ace match. I'm hoping that we can have a back and forth here, but the pressure is on Solar. The pressure is on. So we're getting into our next game. Getting into the next game, getting into Incorporeal, another one of these larger maps. I'm a little bit surprised that Solar did go for the all-in. If you remember the lead up to Tokamak, we were talking about how defensive the map is. And I mean, I have to reiterate that as well once again, right? The map is very defensive. The map is helping MaxPax when it comes to fortifying himself, when it comes to the ramps, the choke points, the rush distance by ground as well. So it was a difficult all-in there for Solar to pull off, as the map wasn't helping, and with that, GG. GG well played. MaxPax, he extends his lead, and now we're getting into game number 4. As spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Incorporeal, we have the Danish Protoss player. We have the blue Protoss representing Psystorm Gaming, leading the series 2-1 and one game away from claiming the series. It is MaxPax. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the red Zerg player. The red Zerg player himself, representing Team Falcons from South Korea. It is Solar. And here we go. We're getting into our next game. We're getting into potential game 4 and potentially the ace match. The pressure is on Solar. And what I will say is aggression hits a little bit different here on Incorporeal. The problem on Tokamak is that when you go for an all-in like that, you can only really strike the third base. You can't really rotate between the third and the natural. Here, you somewhat can. Right, there's an opening here towards the third, opening towards the southern third base, and also an opening here towards the natural as well. Now there are a bunch of ramps, which does make things a little bit more awkward when it comes to pushing in, more so than other maps. But regardless, this is more open compared to Tokamak, so you have options. You have options when it comes to rotating, when it comes to striking the natural or the third. We are settling in. And coming into Incorporeal, we'll see if MaxPax once again opens Oracle. We have seen nothing but Stargate play, but MaxPax, he has mixed up whether it's Void Ray, whether it's Oracle. Has adjusted. Meanwhile, standard opener out of Solar. Nothing crazy. Does go for his own standard opener. And again, we've attempted certain all-in, certain aggressive styles. Coming into Incorporeal, I want to say that I want to favor that kind of play a little bit more so than on Tokamak, but again, even then, the rushes by ground is still quite long. And there are a lot of ramps. We'll see. So now Solar claims his third. Likewise, Stargate is on the way. No surprise there. Based on the rally, it does feel like an Oracle opener. Oh, hello. As MaxPax, he opens up Adept, not into a second Adept, he opens Adept into Stalker instead. Interesting. Now with the Stalker, he'll be able to zone away the Overlord and force it back. The downside is that now there is one less Adept to harass, and that means he has less to really threaten Solar early on. Like, double Adept can be amazing, double Adept can one-shot drones, and can threaten the third player quite hard. Does poke in. Is going to be forced back. Meanwhile, the Oracle has arrived. Third base now being taken. MaxPax moves out. Back at him, Solar. He has his spores on the way. He has a spore at the natural, no spore in the main, but he has 2 queens. And that should be enough to zone away. It should be. So Oracle's forced back. Behind this, Twilight Council's in production. That is an earlier Twilight Council, and from here we can go into something like Glaive Adepts a little bit earlier. We'll keep an eye on MaxPax. There we go, Gateway Explosion. Are we going for the Glaives? I don't see a Forge. And no Forge here from MaxPax. Oh, never mind. There's the Forge going into Blink. So Blink is on the horizon. Lings, they do hit the third. Stalker's ready. Oracle finds 3 drones across the map. Yeah, brutal damage. Getting 3 so far. No spore at the third. Threatening for another dive. Yeah, so from here we do see Solar just setting up here on his 3 bases. Is going to be droning. Likewise, behind this is going to be just +1 and Blink. Standard follow-up here out of MaxPax. Just vying for map control. This game, Solar, he does not skip the Roach Warren, so we have the safety Roach Warren on the way. In case it was something like Glaive Adepts. And this time we should be seeing an upgrade. Again, I do apologize last game for not recognizing, like the lack of upgrade was intentional for the all-in. So we'll keep a closer eye on Solar. We'll do our best. There we go. Yeah, +1 range on the way, Roach speed. Investing into Roaches. Is going to commit. Likewise, Ling's going to be forced back. MaxPax rotating out. Is making his way towards the space. Threading the third. Behind this Temple Archives here. MaxPax working towards Storm once again. Solar, he isn't droning. We have Overlord speed on the way. He's going for the all-in. He's going to commit. Roaches, Queens, going to double down. The army is going to be forced back. Yeah, and one way or another, the game is going to end here. Either Solar breaks MaxPax or he dies trying. About forcing him back. Decent stasis traps, slowing him down. Here come the Drop Lords again. Overlord speed was the sign. No saturation at the 4th base, just for Larva, and it's just all or nothing for Solar. Again, he just has to commit. Back at home, Storm is not yet done, but it's being chronoed. Shield batteries are on the way. Cannon, yeah, he knows. Yeah, MaxPax, he recognizes what's going on. We have cannons, shield batteries, defensive setup. 4th base is a little bit greedy here for MaxPax. But he is fortifying himself. Nice bait on the stasis. Queens are moving in. Queens are moving forward. A Storm on the Roaches. Oh my god, the Overlord goes down! No! The Overlord goes down! That was what, 3 queens? And now they're not a part of this. The storms are brutal. Solar takes all the storms to the face. Oh god, he stands in the storms and that's gonna be game. GG gets called. The army just crumbles before MaxPax. GG, and MaxPax, he will take the series 3-1, and he will be this week's PiGosaur Cup champion. GG. Ay. Brutal all in there. I mean, again, MaxPax saw coming ahead of time. There was maybe potential for Solar to pull that off, but everything went wrong. He took all the storms to the face. More importantly, he lost the drop load early on as well. Like, the drop load was the first thing to be sniped, so the queens could not unload, no transfuse, and the storms were brutal. Yes, roaches are tanky, they can take some storms to the face, but not like that. not like that, papi. Ay. GG, well played. With that, MaxPax, he will be our champion this week, but a shout out to Solar for making it to the finals, for having a series with MaxPax as well, to make a series out of it, I should say. Forcing game 4, didn't quite force the ace match, but MaxPax, he was favored coming into this to begin with. He was favored as one of the best Portals players in the world, of course. GG, well played. How you specified 8 storms? Yeah, it's really good, especially when you're up against an all-in, like getting into storm, whether it's a roach based all-in or a Ling Hydra based all-in. Storms are a secure way to shut those all-ins down, as you saw. They are a secure way. GG, well played. This is how to play PvZ. God, I stay mute. Yo, shout out to mute in the chat. Papi, shout out to mute. Good to see you. Este mute. Yo. But yes, GG, well played. Congratulations here to MaxPax, and again, a shout out to Solar. With that, that is going to wrap up our tournament for the week. When it comes to future PiGosaur Cups, we still don't know whether this is going to be on Tuesdays or Wednesdays on a more regular basis. I know that for a long time it was on Monday, or Monday, at least in the Americas, I should say. But I know that there is initiative to try to move it, just because it is really brutal for the players. If you know this, the players that usually stay up 24 hours to play in all 3 tournaments. There's a weekly tournament for the Korean region, there's one for the European region, and then this is the Americas region weekly, and they go back to back to back, 3 events in a row, which is, I mean, commendable that players do stay up all night and they play in all 3 events, but we probably don't want to incentivize that sort of thing. Like, we want players to get some rest, want them to look after themselves. So there is a push to maybe move this event on a more regular basis on Tuesday/Wednesday instead of Monday/Tuesday, to allow players to rest and to sleep and to recover and to recuperate. But it comes down to the organizer of the event, so we'll see if that happens. Personally, I'm fond of the idea. I do like the idea of letting players get rest and get sleep, and not, you know, dedicate their entire day to playing in non-stop tournaments. I'm all for that, but again, it comes down to what the players want and what the organizers want as well. So we'll see. I know there's I think there's an active poll for that, to determine what happens. Here we go. You're the people's champion. Este mute. True. Can we get skills for MaxPax replays and casts? I would imagine that they've gone to sleep. I mean, skills, I mean. So I don't really have contact with the others, so maybe next time. But regardless, GG, well played. I know that Rocklets did cover that series, so if you want to tune into that matchup in Brazilian and Portuguese, then Rocklets have you covered. I believe he was the only caster covering that upper semifinal, so let's go check over there. So casting on the new dates, lights. We hope to have something more consistent soon. I mean, for us, we're casting every day anyway. Like we cast twice a day, every single day, regardless. So we're content with either time slot, to be honest. Speaking of, we can switch our things over and catch up on our schedule here. As you can see, we do cast twice a day, almost every single day. We do have Wednesday and Friday evenings off. But our schedule, as always, is jam-packed full of StarCraft. Yesterday, we were live with the GSL. Today, we just wrapped up with the PiGosaur Monday. You can see there Wednesday morning. Tomorrow morning, we have a StarCraft Evolution League replay cast, going over the most recent StarCraft Evolution League. We have the Pawn cast tomorrow evening. We have RSL on Friday. Bearing in mind, the Revival StarCraft League qualifiers, they're coming. They're coming. We have one for each region: Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. 3 days straight of qualifiers. We're going to be all over that. We have the OSC mid-season playoffs on Saturday. We have Sparkling Tuna Cup and the Mayhem on Sunday. And we also have the PiGosaur Cup Anonymous Cup. Let's go. If you're curious what that is, it's going to be a 2-day event, King of the Hill format, where the players, their names are hidden. The names are going to be hidden, so you don't know who's actually competing, and there are going to be some like predictions in the chat for who you think is playing. If you think it's like a Nicaract or Milky Cow or Wayne or Young Yakov, we're going to be having some fun there with the Anonymous Cup. So that is going to be a bit of a more laid back kind of a 2-day event, so do check that out, do tune in. It's going to be a lot of fun, I'm sure. And yeah, as always, our week is going to be full. It's going to be full of casting, full of StarCraft. We do have 2 half days off, so this evening we won't be live with StarCraft. Likewise, Friday evening as well. This is an initiative. This is our New Year's resolution. Usually we cast twice a day, every single day, at least twice a day. But coming into 2025, we did want to at least have some afternoons off, so we can take it easy, calm down, take a break, and get some rest, at least for 2 half days during the week. So let's go. Otherwise, 100% I could cast during, like I have like a backlog of replays. Like I still have to catch up on Kung Fu Cup. Like I have like 3 weeks worth of Kung Fu Cup to catch up on, so I could slot those in. I do have a 2v2 show match with Chairman Special and Bjorn and Percival, so I have like a show match to cover. I have Mayhem Day 1 replays to cover. I've got like, if I wanted to, I could fully fill it up, but but we gotta take it a little bit easy, a little bit. Some half days off. Crazy. I think the only person we lost is Mapu. I think so as well. Yeah, I think he's the only one. But we could potentially gain Zombie Grub. I know Zombie Grub has been on a break, but I think she mentioned that she might be willing to cast on Tuesdays instead. True, in total 1 day off. But otherwise, thanks for watching. Otherwise, thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you had a great time. Hope you had a great morning. Usually I would be going live on my personal channel and streaming after this event, but I do have some work to catch up on. I do have some VODs to edit, some VODs to schedule as well, some social media to work on, so I do not have time to ladder today, unfortunately. Maybe on Friday and maybe tomorrow on Thursday. Depends what I'm able to catch up on. So I'm not in the position to ladder at the moment, unfortunately. But again, maybe a later day. Like I know. Maybe tomorrow. I can say tomorrow before the podcast. I'll do my best to ladder and to stream. But not today. Otherwise preoccupied. But thank you so much. Regardless, for the support. Steadfast more likely as well, Chicken Man. There you go. I think Steadfast, he's laddering right now. I was a little bit surprised. Yeah, I'm gonna call him out. I was surprised not to see Steadfast casting today, because he's in game. He's laddering. He's been laddering the entire time. Does he know? Does he know that the PiGosaur, that it's on? he's just been chilling in game, playing StarCraft, not casting. It's not WoW. It's true. At least it's not WoW. At least it's not World of Warcraft. Shaking my head. Esther Steadfast. But regardless, GG will play. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks so much for tuning in. And with that, we're going to be heading off for the evening. Do stick around. We're going to be giving another StarCraft streamer a raid, so give them some love, give them some support. Otherwise, we'll see you guys tomorrow for the StarCraft Evolution League. Thanks so much for watching. See you guys next time. Ciao, papi, ciao. See you next time.